Hi, today I'm gonna walk through the newly implemented risk management system for the scenario in response to the unexpected 8% daily loss. For this part, first I built a portfolio for five diversified securities: Apple, Google, Tesla, Amazon, and TLT. Um, TLT is a bond ETF. And for the first part of this system is downloading the data from Yahoo Finance from 2023 to 2024. When running this code, uh, the output will be the data was successfully loaded. Next, the system is going to analyze the portfolio's mean return volatility and AR. The mean return will use the full 252 days trading days in the year as an input. The volatility will also do that. The returns and the portfolio return was loaded previously when running the first step of this system. And then the VAR 95 historical historically VAR 95 was calculated through by taking portfolio returns and um, and taking 5% as an input. The parameter VAR is taking a fixed number of 1.645 and the portfolio return as inputs. And then ES 95 is standing for expected short for. It is the average return of the worst 5% days. And then the system will output these numbers based on the portfolio. So the historical VAR 95 is 18%, about 18%, and the parameter is about 20%. The average return of worst 5% days will be negative. The historical is 1.8%. The parameter is about 2%. And then the worst 5% days will return about 2.35. The next step of this system is to stress test the portfolio. I chose three scenarios in this case. Market crash about in minus 10% total. Um, te technology stock crash minus 20% technology stock total, and bound rally returning 5% for bound from the market crash. This RA is taking all the stock minus 10% except the bond, and the technology crash will take 20% off technology, but 20% off technology, other technology stock, but since Tesla is more like influenced by the technology stock crash, will be minus 30%, and then the bond will be returning 0.2%. For bond rally, which most the technology stocks remain unchanged or lose about 2% value, and then adding 5% value to the bond. And then for each scenario, we'll calculate the loss using NP dot dot, which takes input of the stock weights and all the stocks, and then we'll output the results for each scenario. When running this, the output will be market crash minus 8.35% for this portfolio, technology stock crash minus 18.2% for this portfolio, and bond rally minus 0.95% for this portfolio. The next step for this system is checking the liquidity risk. For this part, first we assign value according to each asset according to the weights of each stock, and then we're assuming the average daily volume for each stock, which are here, and then we calculate the day to exit based on the market based on the position size and the daily volume with the bar, which is estimating the days required to exit, assuming when you can only trade 10% of the average daily volume, which is position size divided by 10% times the average daily volume for each position. The output of this will be displayed as a results section of the system. And then to limit to identify long-term risk, the system will be calculating the maximum drawdown and count how many days our loss exceed the historical VAR. In this analysis, the portfolio return will be an input to calculate, and then calculating the cumulative max, and then the system will measure maximum capital drop from the peak, which returning in days. There's a mistake, which this line of code should be up here. Comparing the portfolio return and the VAR 95 in historically. For the next section, the system will make a dashboard about each analysis, and then print out all the test results. So let's run this. With this portfolio, we have an annual return of 47.13%, volatility of 19.84%. VAR 95, 1.85% historically, and then 2.06% in parameter. Expected shortfall of 2.35%, and the maximum drawdown as 14, um, and then VAR breach of 13 days. For the just as these are the three scenarios I mentioned before. For liquidity tests, um, uh, about like how many days to exit. Apple has zero point 0.1 days, Google has zero point 0.1 days, Tesla has 0 days, Amazon has zero point 0.1 days, and TLT has zero point 0.1 days. Since Tesla has the most volume in trading every day, it should be have the less days to exit. Based on the result we have, we can tell that annual return is solid performance. Based on the volatility, we have a moderate to high risk level. Uh, the historical VAR tells us we have 1.85 to 5% chance of um, worst day loss, and then the parametric is normally assumed. The average loss of worst 5 days will be 2.35%, and the maximum dip for this portfolio will be 14.22. For the last part, we will check for the bars of the check our results against the bars of risk, which comparing volatility to 0.15 and comparing historical VAR 95 to 2% and comparing breaches to 13 days. And lastly, comparing ES 95 divided by VAR 95 historically to 1.2. When the volatility is greater than 50%, it means to reduce overall risk. And then when the VAR is high, means to hedging using means to use other hedging strategies to lower top risk. When the breach is um very high, it means to use the other model instead of historical VAR. And then the last part is checking the liquidity of each um each stocks each stock, which compare against 2 days if it's higher 2 days, which is shouldn't be higher than 2 days for most of technology stock. Um, it gives a warning that liquidity is have a high risk. Yeah, when running this for this portfolio, we'll only get the recommendation of reduce exposure to high volatility asset to manage overall risks because the historical VAR is more than 2%. In summary, this system was successfully implementing a comprehensive risk management system, including liquidity, uh, uh, liquidity drawdown, and stress testing.